Hello guys, I'm back from another video and today we're talking about what if I was in My Hero Academia. So, in the last video, Hajime, after getting along with some of the, League of members, they were told to go to a meeting where they explained what are the Inferni Knights. After getting some information from some news sources and also some, spies. Unfortunately, the spies never survived to live the day, but thankfully they got all of the, necessary things about them. One of these people was, well, unfortunately, one of them only got their real name, or given their real name, and that name was Bobster, aka Izuku Midoriya. Everybody was still, weirded out that this, Midoriya is a boy, even though theirs is a girl. Yeah, and many of the other Inferno Knights were also weird as well. Like, for example, a woman by the name of. Wait for a second. Neo, aka Emma. Apparently, she seems to be more colder and seems to act like a robot. Thinking of this theory, they think it's probably just a robot. They also think that she's probably pretty powerful because of her persona's name, Azrael, aka the Angel of Frickin' Death in the Bible. Yeah, and many of the others also seems to be dangerous, like for example, Seducer, which was the woman who literally killed, Overhaul. And for another example, a person by the name of Bomb, or at least that's his code name at least. Apparently, his blood is basically like napalm. And if you don't know what is napalm, well, just look at the Vietnam War because, yeah, it's a dangerous weapon, I see. Yeah, and also many other the members of the Infinite Knights also seem to have, I don't know, created their own freaking palaces in each different countries. Like for example, one in South America, one in Russia, the other in China, and many other countries. Yeah. So every single hero in every one of these countries are currently recruiting other heroes from other different countries so they can help them out. And so that is where we ended off the episode. And so let's talk about what happens next. So, as everybody starts going into these ships where they're going to be going to their specific countries, where they're going to be defeating each of the Inferno Knights, let me just stop the story for now, but let me explain. These are going to be seven different episodes. These episodes of What If I Was in My Hero Academia are going to be separate stories. They're basically going to each follow each of the different characters going to their specific targets. Like for example, Izuku, not Izuku, I meant Izumi, Hajime, Bakugo, and also Momo, Kendo, and Jiro are going to be going to South America so they can defeat Izuku. Another example, All Might, All for One, Shigaraki, and etc. are going to be going to I don't know, Britain. So we're going to be starting off our story with Team A, aka the team consisting of Ochako, Kamui Woods, Ida, Mina, Mount Lady, and Kirishima are going to be going to Russia, where they're going to be fighting the armies of the snowy lands, where the Staraza, aka, Stelle, is staying, where she's currently ruling it as a Staraza, or Stareza, or whatever the frick you want to call it. So, currently, she's still hiding in her icy cold castle, where she's just living her days. Actually, she's not actually that evil. In fact, she's just lazing around while, her, squire is currently getting pissed off because she's being lazy. As he says this, alright, Please, for God's sake, Stella, can you at least act like a queen? As she says this, nope. I prefer to be, well, kind of lazy. After all, I am, you know, the. Wait for a second. The Knight of Dissidia, aka Belphegor's Knight. And makes sense. After all, I was lazy in life. Especially with. As he would say this, being her squire. Are you. As she would say this, I'm fine. Actually, you can do whatever you want. Just as long as you don't annoy me. I just feel tired. I just want to get some sleep. It's nice having this brand new land here. I mean, I already have a kingdom in your world, so. As he would say this. Whatever. I'm moving out. I'm gonna be checking if there's more intruders. Especially those quirk users. Damn scum. As she would say this. Yeah, do whatever you want. Just as long as you just make them feel cool. And then make them pay. Make them, I don't know, do all the work for us. May, like, I don't know, turn them into batteries or something. As he says this. As you wish, Stella. As he transforms into this monstrous beast that resembles a furry, almost covered creature with multiple arms, as the middle of it seems to have a gigantic ass slit with a black hole inside. As he says this, our soldiers, make sure to find any pathetic little quirk users that ever decide to wander here. Capture them and use them as batteries. No fucking exceptions. As they all start running for the hills, these monsters. These specific monsters are known as a Prishniki, which if you don't know, well, if you remember my what if about, well, what if Izuku was in FGO, well, you probably know what it is. So, as when, well, the group basically comes in, being Team A, consisting of Ochako, Kame Woods, you get it now. So, when they get there, they're like dropped off at the border, where the helicopter starts flying away because they're not gonna mess with that, as a gigantic ass ice dragon appears and literally destroys everything. As Kame Woods was terrified seeing this, as he would see an army of, well, a Prishniki and this ice monster. And the squire appears, being squire of Stelle. As he would say this, capture these quirk users and make sure that you make them into, batteries. After all, we do need to have a power source. As one of them said this, sure, come. As he will just tries to grab them, but, well, Ochako makes him float away, as she would see something in the distance. Something more distinct. It seems to be a woman cloak, wearing the badge of, well, the Alliance, or the Empire, as she seems to be quite fast. In fact, she seems to be floating, as she brings out several chunks of ice, making them float, as another appears, one with pink skin and pink hair, but has a broken horn. As she spits out this almost poisonous gas, as everybody starts like covering their nose, as another appears, a man in fact. This man kicks him right in the stomach, being Ida, as Ida sees that his legs seem to be more mechanical, like he was not even human anymore, at least. As another one appears, being a muscular man. He seems to have craggly skin, as his eyes were pure blood red. As one of them, well, being Ochako, throws a punch, a gravity-powered punch, in fact, as it breaks that, well, like the woman that's like floating all over the objects, mask off, as she would see her. It was like a mirror image, but except this version was her. Like this version of her seems to be more emotionless. Her eyes were blank. She seems to have scars all over her body. As well, the squire of well, Stelle would say this. Alright, take off your cloaks. After all, let's see what their reactions would be seeing their versions of us. Or should I say, you. As they take off their cloaks, revealing a different version of Ida. This Ida seems to be covered in machinery, almost like he was turned into something else. His back reveals several pipes. These pipes seem to be pumping this weird blood type substance. The other seems to be Mina, but with a broken horn, one eye ripped out, and her body parts seem to be mismatched, as one of her arms seems to be a mouth that shoots out this weird, almost deadlier version of her acid. And finally, the muscular one, that was completely easy. That was Kirishima. Kirishima, or at least this version, seems to be wearing a muzzle, as he has pure blood red eyes. No pupils, no anything. His hair is completely blackened, to the point that it's almost darker than the blackest black hole. As everybody was shocked. As wait for a second. As the squire of, Stella would say this. What do you think of this? Our, Izuku, or at least your Izumi, or whatever, his universe was completely corrupted, and so he decided to corrupt your versions of him. Like, your versions of his world, turning it into something else, his own brand new kingdom. And so he decided to turn, Class 1A and Class 1B into his minions. Meet the Royal Guard. Let's just say that. As these versions of Ochako, Ida, Mina, and Kirishima were absolutely terrifying to them. It's like seeing like an alternate version of themselves where they were turned into villains. They were scary. One of them looks like he's feral, being the Kirishima. As for the one that's literally just a terrifying mechanical version of Ida, seems to be almost scrambling to try and walk normally, but walks abnormally with this almost vengeful and angry glare. As this Ida punches, their Ida, and causing him to get knocked out. As for the others, they were knocked out as well. So, as they woken up, they wake up in a large, icy cell. As Ochako would say this, where am I? As Ida would say this, you're awake. So, do you know where we are? As Kami Woods would say this, it seems to be a dungeon. As one of the Sapristiki would say this, hey, shut up. I don't want you any talking here. Especially you dab quickies, as you scant. You bloody disgust me. Even though you ain't quirky users, we still hate your bloody kind. Except for quirkless. At least they're sensible, unlike you, who literally tore our families apart. As one of them would say this, what do you mean? As he would say this, why would I ever talk to you? Shut the fuck up. As he starts smoking, bringing out the cigarette and starts puffing up a smoke. As everybody was concerned, thinking that they're going to turn them into batteries. That's what, the squire of Stella would say, or said. As one of them was brought to, Stella herself, being Kirishima, Ida, and wait for a second, being Ochako, Ida, Mina, and Kirishima. They were told to go to Stella's room so they can talk, or at least what they think is a talk. As they were brought to the throne room, which is more like a bedroom than anything else. In fact, the throne where it's supposed to be, instead, it's a large bed. As Stella would say this, "Oh, hello there." As one of them would say this, being Ochako, "Why are you doing this?" As she would say this, "Oh, come on, we're trying to save your world after all. I mean, the world is quite corrupt, especially with the Hero Commission." As one of them would say this, being, well, Ida, "You're lying. The heroes would never do." As she would say this, "Oh, really? Have you seen my world?" Well, I guess I can just be a little bit personal. My real name is not, Stelle. My name is Kara Dreamer. I'm from a world where monsters and quirk users used to coexist. As one of them would say this, "Used to? What do you mean?" As she would say this, "Well, let's just say that world was changed after a little conflict." So, we go to a flashback where Kara and her sister, being Steel, because we don't know her real name yet, and her name is a kind of a hint. Yeah. So, she would tell her story, a story of tragedy. Her family was torn apart. Toriel, which she was not human at all. Instead, she was actually a monster. Specifically, the queen of the monsters. In that world, at least. As for her father, he was the father, or at least the king of monsters. They were both adopted, being her and Steel. But, unfortunately, that never lasted. When they were turned, well, wait for a second. When both of them turned 18, they decided to go on a drive, as they get a phone call. That fateful phone call that caused their family to get wrecked. Apparently her mother was killed. As for her father and their little brother, named Azriel, as they were attacked by some quirk users, which they beaten them up, as the only remaining survivor was for his sister, Steel. She was killed. She pretended that she was dead, and she felt guilt. She felt angry that she couldn't even save her sister. Until she met Lavenza. Lavenza was trying to find some recruits for her Infinity Knights. And so, they, or should I say, she decided to have a request. She wanted a purpose to get revenge. And so, Lavenza gave them that wish, giving them their personas. In her case, it was the persona. Well, wait for a second. Her persona was Nemesis, the goddess of revenge itself. And for Arcana, it was justice, or at least the reverse of it. As for her sister, well, we're going to reveal only her Arcana for now. And this Arcana was Chariot. And so, they stormed to that house of the murderers and killed them all. As when they finally gone to hell, where they worked as the first members of the Infinity Knights, well, they came back to their world and took it over, punishing the quirk users for killing their parents, for killing monster kind, for putting them in Mount Ebet. And so, after telling this story to them, they felt bad for what they gone through. But one of them stepped up, being Kirishima. Dude, even though you even though that was a horrible thing that happened to you, you don't need to do this to our world. I mean, we're not even the same court users as she would say this. Shut up. I'm doing this for my little sister. My little sister. And I won't let her big sister, fail her again. And so, as an Inferno Knight, I will take over this world. And I won't let you ruin it. Let's go. Take him down. Asta, my squire. As he would say this. I guess I ought to reveal my real name. My name is Asta. Asta Steria. But, unfortunately, my world was destroyed. Or at least, somewhat destroyed. I took over that world as my own land. I've been, put these MHA to work as brand new elites for my group. Now, let's just say you're gonna die here. Now, come here, the Royal Guard, and take them down. I want you to make them pay. As the Royal Guard appears, being the evil versions or the darker versions of Ida, Ochako, Mina, and Kirishima, as they start charging in. As Ochako would try to beat her version of her, but she was too powerful. In fact, she seems to be more advanced than her. As for Ida, it's the same thing. Mina and Kirishima, it was the same thing. And so, while they were fighting, both, Kara, being her real name, and Asta, were basically just watching in the sidelines. As Asta would create his blade out of a weird book. Interesting. If you get some of these references, well, you probably know these characters are from different series that I like. Take a guess, and if you guess in the comments, I would gladly highlight you. So, after fighting them a little bit, they felt a bit tired, as they can't take them down because they're basically advanced versions of them. And so, they decide to switch. And so, Ochako is fighting Ida, Ida's doppelganger. For Ida, he's fighting Ochako's doppelganger. And also for the same thing for Kirishima and Mina. As they actually beat them. For Ochako, she beaten Ida's by basically making him float and causing him to go up into the ceiling and hit himself in the back. Breaking those weird looking tubes, and let's just say he's not going to be walking for a while. As for Ida, he beats down this advanced version of Ochako by kicking her in the arms, causing her to basically fall and basically knocking her out. As for Mina, fighting Kirishima was pretty easy. She would use her acid to basically make him slip, even though it doesn't literally disintegrate him or basically melt him. Instead, it just makes him fall down and gets knocked out because of the, hard floor. As for Kirishima fighting Mina's dark self, he just cracks her right in the neck. Not killing her, but more making her, go night-night. And so, let's just say, not Ochako, I meant Kara was completely mad. As, Asta would say this. Well, guess I'm not doing this. As she would say this. But you're supposed to be, as he says this. Sorry, but, I'm not dealing with this one because, you're after all quite lazy and I always have to do your dirty work. So, you're gonna be doing this by yourself. I'm going to be staying with the Appreciate as he starts moving away. As, well, Kara was pissed. Let's just say, like, she was seriously pissed. As her body starts changing. Everybody sees this clearly. As her eyes turn a golden color. As she would say this, "No, I'm not supposed to lose. I won't fail my sister. No, 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 no." As her eyes start becoming pure golden, as she starts tearing up, as her body starts becoming enchained, as she starts getting binded to the bed, as something comes out. Her persona, Nemesis. Nemesis starts changing, transforming into something else, something unholy, as it transforms into a brand new form. As her persona starts transforming, gaining a moon-like face. The face was almost like a moon in one half, but the other is pure black, with this symbol of the Empire, or like the alliance of like Hell, Heaven, and, well, the Monster Realm, basically brazen on one of its eyes. As the clothing of this brand new persona seems to be almost like a onesie, or in this case, like a typical like clothing for sleeping, as it has a ponytail and two wings. As this persona screams out in pain, as this persona starts shooting out blasts of pure black energy, as one of them gets hit, as one of them feels sleeping, or Chaco. So Chaco would say this, "I feel so sleepy." As this persona starts screaming, as for Kara, she starts crying out in pain, saying, "No, I can't fail. I don't want to lose my sister again. No, no." As one of them starts charging in at her, as, well, it's, well, Kirishima. Kirishima tries to bring her out of the bed, as when he does, it doesn't help. She starts going on a rampage, including with her brand new persona, which she calls out by its name, Argia. Argia starts shooting out more blasts. It doesn't discriminate, by the way, so it basically starts blasting on its own people, including her squire. Which the squire starts saying, "Hey, I'm supposed to be your goddamn squire, you goddammit." As she starts looking at him, as she starts shooting at him instead, as everybody was confused. As when, Kame Woods and also, Mount Lady come out of the dungeon, they say, "What the heck is going on right here?" As she sees, like, both of them see just like, well, Kara basically causing some chaos on her own people. Yeah. And also, the quirkless, like, population that's basically in this zone basically escapes. After that, well, after this rampage, she basically falls down to the ground, crying, saying, "I failed you. I failed you, Lavenza." She falls down onto the snow as her palace breaks, causing a shatter of pure ice, basically raining upon the ground, as everybody starts running away from the scene, as the castle disappears, as the area around it basically disappears, including the Aprishniki. The Aprishniki basically start moving away, because the area is no longer to their liking, basically turning back, like going back to where they came from, being the Monster Realm. And so, the first, well, Infinity Knight was defeated. So, that's basically the end of this episode. So, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye!